Have you ever asked your parents a simple question like, can we talk about what happened? Or why did you say that? And been met with rage, silence, or guilt trips? You are not crazy, you are not disrespectful, you are just dealing with someone who sees questions as threats. Today we're talking about why abusers hate questions, especially toxic or narcissistic parents, why they hate accountability at all costs, and how they twist curiosity into rebellion. Let's break it down. Healthy people don't mind questions. They might not always have the perfect or right answer, but they don't shut questions down. They might not always have the perfect or right answer, but they welcome conversation. Abusers don't do that. Questions invite accountability. They challenge control and they expose contradiction. Abusers thrive in environments where they control the narrative. If you ask, why did you yell at me like that? They don't have the vocabulary nor the self-awareness to say something like, I felt powerless and that's why I lashed out. Instead, they flip things around and try to convince you that it's your responsibility and that you're the reason why they reacted the way they did. That emotional whiplash that we often get when trying to ask an abuser questions, that is not normal at all. That's manipulation. Let's look at how this shows up in toxic parent-child dynamics. Asking why is seen as disrespect. For example, you might ask, can I go to a certain activity? And your parent says no without any reasons. You might say, can you tell me why? And instead of giving a logical explanation, they would just say, don't question me. A healthy parent might say, I'm worried about your safety, or let's talk about boundaries. But a toxic parent, they hear your questions as disobedience. Another type of question they dislike is when you bring up the past. For example, you might have shared, I felt really hurt when you called me stupid last week. And then the toxic parent responded with, you need to let things go. You are way too sensitive. Notice what happened. You brought up your feelings, and instead of taking accountability for what was said, they gaslighted you. Suddenly, you're the problem for remembering it. Another type of question they hate are questions asking for clarity. For example, you might ask, can I ask why you were upset with me earlier? And the emotionally abusive parent might respond with, I don't have time for this. Why are you always needing to start drama? Questions are treated like provocations, not connection. That's because abusers fear being exposed. They fear being seen. And your questions, they shine a light on their dysfunction. If this has been your reality, I want you to know that your questions were valid. Wanting to understand your parents or get closure from a confusing situation is not rebellion, it's human. But here's the hard truth, you may never get answers from them. People who fear accountability rarely give it freely. So what can you do? First, validate yourself. You don't need their permission to feel what you feel. If it hurt you, it matters. Number 2, use questions to heal you, not them. Turn your questions inward, not to blame them, but to gain understanding. For example, what do I need to feel safe? What patterns am I repeating in my adult life? And number 3, find people who welcome your voice. Surround yourself with people who can say, I don't know, but let's talk about it. That's emotional safety and that's healing. Abusive parents don't hate questions because they're disrespectful. They hate questions because it exposes what they're trying to hide. You are not the problem for being curious. The problem is when people are too afraid to answer. You deserve relationships where your questions are answered, not punished, where your voice matters. If this resonated with you, take a deep breath. You are not alone. Let me know in the comments, have you ever been shamed for asking a question? If you are interested in content about healing from toxic families, I would be honored if you could subscribe to my channel and like this video. I will see you next time.